All right, welcome back, Leo Lions. This is Mrs. Morgan with today's lesson over volume of spheres. So up here we have the formula for the volume of a sphere. Notice today the volume formula has a fraction of 4/3. So a little different. We were working with 1/3 with cones and pyramids. Now we're working with 4/3, so 1 1/3. The other thing that is a little different is we have r cubed in our formula. So volume, I would always start out, no matter what shape you're working with, start out with what formula are you using, and then replace what we know. For a sphere, all we need to know is the radius, the r, and everything else is in the formula. Now be careful, up here it talks about the diameter of a sphere is a segment that passes through the center of the sphere and has endpoints on the surface of it. The diameter is twice the length of the radius. So we should already know that. But remember to double check, what are we given first? Are we given the radius or are we given it all the way across? And you want to make sure you cut it in half if you are given the diameter. So let's do this first example together. We have an iron ball, and here it is telling us that the diameter is 6 centimeters. Find the exact volume, so we want to find it with pi in our answer, and then we also want to round to the nearest cubic centimeter. So first step, as we were talking about, if we're given the diameter is 6, then we want to find the radius, and we want to take that 6, cut it in half. So the radius is 3 centimeters. Always be careful, because if you plug in the wrong number to your formula, well, you won't find the correct volume then. So, like I said, we want to start out. Let's write down what is our formula. So 4/3 times pi, and then times the radius cubed. And then I like to replace directly below, what do we know? Well, the 4/3 is in the formula, the pi is in the formula. All we need to replace is the r with 3. All right, to find the exact, remember we only work with the numbers. So I'm going to put in 4/3 times 3 cubed into my calculator and forget about that pi symbol for a second. When you do this, it does work best to do your 4/3. Make sure you click off of the fraction and in front of it to do your times 3 to the 3rd power, so 3 cubed. So we get 36. Now another way you could do this is take just the top of the fraction, so 4 times your 3 cubed. 3 cubed is 27. And then take that answer and divide it by the denominator, the 3. And notice both ways I do it, I get 36. It's just up to you, but you got to be careful on how you plug in those numbers to your into your calculator. So 4/3 times 3 cubed is 36. We have done nothing with that pi yet, so that is still in our answer, and that is cubic centimeters. So remember, this is the exact volume in terms of pi. So down here, the exact volume is 36 times pi, or 36 pi cubic centimeters. Okay, and then the last step, then we do want to take 36 and multiply it by pi. So we have 113.1 if we are rounding. So then volume rounded 113.1 cubic centimeters. So there is how we find volume using the sphere formula. And I'm going to fill in that last answer. So there we go. Now, there is one more example on the next side, so I would like you to try that one on your own. It is very similar, and I'm going to follow the same steps I did on the front. So let's first write down our formula is 4/3 times pi r cubed. Now the diameter of this sphere is 8.8 meters. So again, we're given the diameter. What is the exact volume? And then also what is the approximate rounded? So if we are given all the way across the sphere, this is the diameter, we want to take that and cut it in half, divide by 2. So the radius is 4.4 meters. So when we come over to our formula and plug in our values, we're going to do 4/3 times pi times 4.4 cubed. So again, We just want to use the numbers, forget about that pi symbol for a second, to find the exact volume in terms of pi. So 4/3 times 4.4 cubed. Ooh, and we have a big long number here, so 113.57. And unfortunately, since it doesn't come out perfectly, we are going to round in our exact answer. So let's round to the nearest tenth, and we'll do 113.6 pi, since we have not rounded or multiplied by pi yet. And then this had to do with meters, so meters cubed. That is our exact. And then our last step is to actually multiply by that pi. And I've talked about it in class, but the most common error I see is that we forget to include that pi in our exact answer. So don't forget to write that down. And then last step, I'm going to multiply by pi. So rounded, it'd be 356.8. And that is, again, meters cubed. So that's our rounded answer, or our approximate. So there we go. That is how we find volume of a sphere. Now there are some occasions where we may be finding the volume of a hemisphere. So that would be this sphere cut in half. And you would just be finding the volume maybe of the top portion of that sphere. Well, if you ever do that, then you would want to use your volume formula, and then you want to take your answer and just cut it in half, divide by 2. So there may be some instances of that as well.